Okay guys, good afternoon everybody. Right, thanks for coming. I actually tricked you guys, right? I sent an email out and said Charlie will be actually presenting on later stage funding. Unfortunately, my bad, I messed up because Charlie can't make it today, right? He's going to talk about the same thing next week, right? So come next week if you want to look for later stage funding. So what I did this week is that I will actually talk a bit about startup valuation and how to actually value the startup, right? And hopefully, you know, I only have about 5 slides or so, right? So I will actually talk through really my experience more than anything else, right? And you don't have to take it as the truth, right? But if you come to me to invest, that's what I will be looking at, okay, from that perspective, okay? But before I start, let me just give you a brief, because I think some of you here are relatively new, right? So I will talk a bit about what I do, right? A bit about myself, right? And perhaps then it gives you an idea of who I am and what I've been doing. My name is Chuck, right? I actually do this for the Singapore Community Society, right? As part of their special interest group, right? On tech entrepreneurism. So I run this we run this every Wednesday from 12. We start on the dot at 12:15 to about 1:15 or so, depending on how long-winded we are, right? And there are 2 sessions. First session is about sharing. The second session is about a startup actually doing sort of pitch, right? But it's not a competitive pitch, more of sharing what they are doing, right? So it gives you guys, or rather give the startup an idea how receptive a group like you guys would be, right? And it's a good practice. So I started my career with a company called Arthur Andersen, which is no longer around. But I worked for the consulting division, right? So I spent, so they became Andersen Consulting and now they are Accenture, right? I spent just less than 10 years with them. I started in the mid-80s. In the mid-90s, I started my own company. So I built it from 3 people to 300 and then we sort of sold it, right? And bumped around a couple of years and not knowing what we want to do. And I started actually Stream Global together with 2 or 3 friends in 2007, 2008. The idea at that time was really to help the startup community to actually cut short time to market, right? Literally, you know, when I started my firm in the mid-90s, right, I have nobody really to talk to, right? I have my partners, of course, but whoever that actually knows my space tend to be my competitors, right? And I can't really share a lot of things with them, right? So there's a lack of really mentors available. So we thought that, you know, that market is quite good. But how much do you pay a mentor? Or do you pay mentor at all, right? And I'm very adamant, right, that it is very difficult for you to say, I'm a mentor, I want $10,000 or I want 5% of a company or 15% of a company. Because it is actually very difficult proposition to a startup, right? So what we did was that we wanted to run projects for them and say, okay, if this thing is successful, you pay me X amount of dollars. But anything that is free is of no value, right? So therefore, there must be a value to it. So we decided then to actually invest in startup, right? And with that, right, we become relatively active partners with the startup. And from there, we are in the same goal. So that's what we have been doing for the last 10 years or so. So my partners are, all of us have actually been in a corporate, right? So whether it's, and most, if not all of them, were in tech companies, right? I'm probably one of the youngest with about almost 30 years experience in the tech industry. So you can imagine my partner is a little bit more experienced than I am. And each one of us are focused, while in tech, in different industry, right? Financial services, media, travel, and so on. So we actually see a wide range of industry. And basically, we want to be operationally involved, right? But we don't want to run the company, right? Meaning that we will get advice, right? But we won't make decisions for the company, right? And that's our role, right? And I think that's what mentoring is all about, okay? These are my partners, Bill, Wilson, Billy, Robert, Chinhu, and Casey. Some of Basically, they are probably in the industry. So let me go straight into fundraising. Right? How do you valuation? So here are some terms that you guys must know when you talk about fundraising or valuation. Right? First of all, what is pre-money versus post-money? Right? This is a term that is actually thrown out very often, and I'm quite surprised that most startups don't really know how to differentiate this, right? Pre-money is your valuation, right, before your money comes in, right? So therefore, if you are, let's say, valued at $1 million, right, and I put in $100,000, your pre-money is 1 million, post-money is 1.1 million. Okay? And the division, how you calculate is actually the percentage, right, is 100,000 divided by 1.1 million, not the other way around. Okay, you always calculate your enlarged share from the post valuation. Okay, so that's actually quite an important distinction, right, on how to calculate your. So it's not. So if I give you 100,000 for your 1 million valuation, it's not. I don't own 10%. I own slightly less than 10%. Okay, right? So that's how the calculation is being done. Fix it anywhere, please. Okay?
Front row lah. Good value.
Okay. Any question on that? Okay, the next one is lead investors versus investors, or lead investors versus no lead investors. Okay? So what does that mean? In some of the deals, right, if you have more than one investor, right, sometimes one person take the lead, or one organization take the lead. And that guy is the one that actually negotiates all the terms with you. Okay? For your sake, right, I hope as a startup, you don't have that role. You don't have that. Right? Just do a simple, you control the terms. Yeah? In terms of investment. So that means you say, okay, I am worth $1 million, right? And basically you get 10%, you put in so much money. Right? And that would be it. Because if you have an investor, right, that investor may control what the terms are and what the valuation is, and the rest will follow. Okay? Right? So that's the difference between the two. Then the question people ask me is that, why some investors take common shares and some investors take preference shares? Technically speaking, any organizations which is probably after the incubation and acceleration point will ask for preference shares. Right? It's up to you to convince them to take common shares. Okay, what's the difference between the two? Right? Common shares is usually when you go to Accra and you register a certain percentage, right? That would be the common shares. Preference shares comes with certain preferences, right? So, and sometimes one preference share may convert into more than one or less than one common share, depending on how your negotiation goes, right? The most common term I see in Singapore when you raise money to do a valuation is that when the investor asks for preference shares, there's usually a preference of liquidation, right? Meaning that, let's say 1 times liquidation preference means that, when you liquidate or sell your company, liquidate here doesn't mean that you go under, you just sell the company, right? The investor get back 100% of their money first. So if they put in $100,000, they get back $100,000 first. If the valuation is $5 million, right, they are 10%, they take the 10% today. Right? That's the liquidation, the common liquidation preference. Another common preference would be dividend preference. Meaning that when you declare that dividend, they want to take first. Right? Now, these are not necessarily bad for you. What the investor is telling you, you ask them why, right? Okay? Why do they take that? The reason why is because for the liquidation preference, one-time liquidation preference, what they want to do is, number one, of course, secure their own investment, right? The second reason is they don't want you to get a small valuation and then sell a company. right? It'll be more painful for you. So if I come in at a million valuation, 1.5 million you sell off, right? So what do I gain, right? Very quickly, it's just very little, right? So as an investor, my books look really bad because I only gain 15%. Technically, you buy stock, you get that 15%, right? So if you sell a company at, if the investor come in a million, right? You sell the company at 10 million, right? Giving back $100,000 is nothing to you guys, right? Because you've already made so much more money, right? So therefore, they don't want you to immediately sell the company after, right? And of course, it is also a preservation for them. So if you do sell the company, they want their money back first. Okay, that's what. Dividend preference is because they do not want shareholders, right, that is there to take away money from the company. So for example, you got a shareholder and you are a director, right? You declare dividend, right? Okay, because there's money, it's a retained earnings, you get dividend, right? So the idea is really for the investor, they want you to retain your earnings to invest into the future rather than take it out. So therefore, they discourage you by saying that if you want to take out a dividend, I get my share first. Okay? So those are some of the different terms that you need to look out for when you do your investment. The other one is actually idea versus execution. Right? When you value your company, right, please do not equal that to your worth. Okay? Valuation is not equal to worth. Yeah? Because what your company is worth and what you value it is two different numbers. So don't get insulted if you say my valuation is 5 million. The guy say no, you only value 1. He's not saying that you are only worth 1 million versus 5 million. What he's saying is that your business value, I am willing to invest if the value is 1 million. That's all he's saying. Okay? Because your valuation, technically speaking, can be a lot lower. Right? In an IT company, really your paid up is your valuation. If you paid up $2, your valuation is $2. Right? And why the guy paying $1 million for it? Right? So those are, you got to make sure that is taken apart. Right? So don't think that your worth is equal to the valuation. Usually valuation comes from how much you need for your company to go to a particular stage. That's how I would see it, when I look at valuation. Okay? Alright? And then last one, I would say valuation is not a true value of the company. Okay? Alright, so that's something you guys got to keep in mind. So when you value something, it is actually what the investor is ready to put money into your company, not how much you are actually worth the company actually worth. Okay? Any question? This is for early stage, okay? Yes.
How do you value the company?
How do I value the company?
Yeah.
Next 2 slides. Okay? What's your question?
Regarding the preference shares,
yes.
Or the dividend preference. The dividend preference, when you declare dividends, is everybody will get the dividend, right?
Yeah. So I will ask for my dividend first to be given, and then share again. Let's say you give 5% of your whatever, right? I own 10%, right?
Earnings are
Yeah, I will take that 10% first, right? Whatever that's left in 5%, I will take again when you give up to everybody else.
Also, you take twice.
I take twice.
You see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would actually discourage you from taking a dividend out. Right? Because why would you give me twice the money? I would love it, but why would you do it? Right? So from the VC standpoint, the dividend is very little money compared to if you can grow very big, right? Your capital gain. Okay? So I'll let you read this. And that partly answer your question, how do I do valuation? In the end, it is more an art than a science, especially for startups. Right? But what I'll do is I'll go through a few methods with you, and I'll go through with you, right, how I see valuation, right, to give you an idea what kind of things I'm looking for. Right? Because the problem with valuation, right, is not about, at the early stage, not about the value of the company, as I mentioned. Not about the value of the management team, not about value of the product. It's a combination of many things. Okay. So before I came in this morning, I said, oh shit, you know, I screwed up and Charlie has to, he's not here, so I have to do this, right? So what I did was I searched the net at 5 o'clock this morning, right? So I found this website, right, that lists out these 4 methods, right? And there are actually many websites. Once you do a search for valuation for startup, there's so many of them, right? I chose this because I think this is something which all of us practice, but we won't tell you we practice this. Okay? A scorecard method is basically comparing benchmark, right? Basically, we look at the management team, you know, the product, the scalability, all the different factors, right? And then look at what is comparable to what you guys are doing in another organization, right? So that's why sometimes you all present, right? I am Uber of something, right? Then you want people to think, hey, can you match me with Uber? And that's why people do that, right? It's not because, you know, Uber, of course Uber is also big, right? But what you are telling your investor is that please compare me with that, right? Okay, so basically, if they will do a score on each of those points, and then they say, okay, if your value at, if Uber is valued at that, you are 50% of Uber, so you're half of Uber, right? Okay, so that's how the scorecard method works. The other one is a checklist, which is quite similar to the scorecard, except this is closer to the investor. So me as an investor, I have a checklist of many things, right? So for example, in Stream Global, a big portion of how we calculate valuation and investability is the management team, are the founders, right? So we'll put a weightage, right, on the founders, right? Then there is a solution, there is the technology, whether it's patentable or unique value proposition, then there's scalability, then the last one is execution, right? Can these guys execute, right? So based on this, right, okay, 4 or 5 checklists, right, we will then match it against what is comparable. So in a startup in Singapore, right, the average, if you have a prototype, if you have some form of readiness, right, generally speaking, it's about $1 million, generally speaking, okay, more or less, okay. In Europe, it's about $2 million, right. In US, it's about $2.5 million. That's how the appetite of the investors, right, just rule of thumb, right, no science or art to that, okay. So if you are ranked more than $1 million, means that they value you more, right, from the checklist standpoint. It means from what they see in our past, right, you guys are actually performing better than some of the cases that we saw. Okay? The most common one, of course, is your financial forecast, right? The question is also sometimes we ask, right, how do you guys do a financial forecast, right? The most common one is that, you know, there are 1 billion people in this world. I just want 0.1%. I get so many people, multiply, this is my potential, right? The reality is that most VC takes that with a pinch of salt, right? Because it is, for you to do that, what is important is your go-to-market strategy, right? So you can get 0.1%, right? How are you going to do it? Okay, so therefore, the financial forecast is good as a rule of thumb, right? But really, in a startup environment, you have no revenue, you have no profit, right? You have no customers. How do I know? Okay. And the last one is discounted cash flow. This is the most popular method for VCs, right? As startup, you know, again goes back to the financial forecast, right? How do I know, right? But some of us do have experience in our previous life in a similar environment, right? So we can do a guesstimate, right? And then agak-agak and say this is where it is. But the valuation really, in my opinion, right, it is about one step back, it's about investability, right? Remember, not about the worth. Okay? So all you want to think about in investment, right, is that if you give your investor this number, whatever the valuation would be, right, what will be your next number? Meaning that will he make money or not? Right? I think you have to work that out for the investors. Right? And in order to do that, you must have a go-to-market strategy. If your go-to-market strategy cannot stand up to your valuation, so for today, you say, okay, you know, Chuck, my valuation of the company is $5 million, right? Okay, but you know, in a year, I'm worth 50. Right? Then what I'll do, I look at is actually, number one, are you credible when you say that? Number two, what is your go-to-market strategy on making that? Right? So, different stage of your investment, there are also different requirements from your investors. So you have to really think through. Now, how do I actually, when I sit down with some of you guys are familiar with this chart because I've gone through this chart with some of you guys, right? But how I look at it is from this perspective, right? Let's say bottom is your time, okay? Now, all of you guys have a business plan and all of you guys have a projection, right? So what I'm looking at is how do you match your business plan with your fundraising plan? Meaning that when you want to fundraise, you decided that you want to raise money. Day one, you decided. That means you're not keeping this company for your son, right? So you're not building it. You're building it to really scale. Okay, so you decided that, right? What it means is that when somebody invests in a company, you got to make sure they get a return. Okay, that's all it means, right? So if you decided that you want to raise fund, you must match your business plan with your fundraising plan. And that's how I see it and how we see it in Stream Global. Okay? So for example, your blue line is your growth, whatever the number would be. And your x-axis here is your revenue, profit, whatever growth, whatever it will be. Okay? Right? And your red line is your valuation. Okay, hopefully you should go more than your revenue line. Yes?
How do you match?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay, just listen, okay? So, basically what you need to do is that, let me go through your business plan with you first, because you guys probably know your business plan, right? So, between Q1 and Q2, right, there's a slight growth, right? What is that growth, and how do you define that growth? I.e., is it revenue? Is it profit? Is it number of users? Is it number of sign-ups? What is that? Between Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5, what is the growth that allows you to grow, right? You match that with your valuation, right? That's how you match the two. So for example, you're worth 0 in Q1, you're worth so much in Q3, right? What have you done between Q1 and Q3 in your business, right? Such that it will allow you to grow your valuation higher. Okay, so for example, you say from Q1 to Q3 chart, what we have done is that we have developed our prototype. We have a medium-sized user base. I am in 2 countries, right? So those are all yardstick, right? Your measurements of your business plan, right? So you have to match that with your fundraising plan. So that when you reach a particular point, let's say in Q5 you want to raise money, right? And your valuation is up here. Okay, whatever the number would be, right? You know that from Q1 to Q5 in your business plan, you have to execute something, whatever the things are. Okay? If you have not executed, don't expect that valuation. Right? It's as simple as that. Right? Because why? As an investor, all I'm looking at is your ability to execute. If you're telling me your business plan is like that, right, and you want that kind of valuation, then you better execute. Right? So therefore, if you know that you're it is a shortfall of your business plan in Q5, that's Q5, your target is 2 countries, and you have not reached 2 countries, right? Your Q5, you reach 1,000, but you only reach 500, right? So your expectation and valuation should not be there. Right? Because it's about execution. Right? So when we invest in a company, what I'll do then is I will match your business plan to a fundraising plan, right? So that you tell me, Chuck, in 1 year, my valuation, I want to go 3 times. Then I'll tell you, right, or I'm going to ask you, what are you delivering from the business standpoint, right? And do I agree with you in 3 years' time, right, whatever the time it be, that would be your valuation, your 3 times valuation. Now, if I agree, I'm full-hearted with you guys, I can then help you raise funds a lot easier. I don't need you to come to me I don't need you to be present to every single investor that's coming on board. Right? I can on behalf of you mention what you guys are involved in. It's very relatively easier. And as a CEO of your company, it's also easier for you to look at it from this perspective. Right? Because you are early stage and all you can show is execution. Okay? Right? So this is a very simple concept, but most startups actually segregate their business plan and their fundraising plan. Right? So when they run out of money, they say, "Oh, raise fund." Right? But the question they ask me is, "Chuck, what do you think my valuation should be?" I say it's very difficult for me, right? I mean, if you go on the investor side, I want it as little as possible, you know, right? And that's where the difficulty would be in terms of the valuation, right? So the key point is that when you're a startup, right? Okay, I think the reference point in Singapore is about $1 million plus, right? That I think is a magical number, right? Anything above that, right, it will be an issue, right? And then next will be the sources of funds, right? F and F, family, friends, and fools, which is founders. Okay, that is your first stage, right? And usually at this stage, it's common equity, right? Next round, it actually should be angel before super angel, right? Angel also usually take a common stock, right? The super angel, meaning that the amount is higher, they may be sophisticated enough to ask for preference, right? But some don't. Okay. Incubator accelerators usually ask for common shares and not preference shares. Usually they want an option. Usually the incubator accelerator may want an option, right? And lastly, government, right? These are sources of fund for startup. Right? ACE actually runs a fund, right? Called ACE, right? They're going to start again, right? They are also funds like iGen in the past. They give you $50,000 for almost free, right? I'm not sure what is the status of those funds, right? So they are funding here and there for a smaller amount. Okay.
Sorry, government fund.
Yeah.
You talked a bit about government funds. Government now pretty open to give funds to so-called startups.
Yeah.
Take a lot of form of actually.
Actually, timing is not good for you, right? The last 4 years, they have dispensed $100 million.
$100 million
From
base of $5 billion.
What base? They have actually given out, right? So there are a lot of people who have actually gotten $50,000 chunks, right, for almost free, right? What happens is that they have stopped that scheme called iGen maybe about 6 months ago. They may restart it again, I'm not sure. Okay, there are new schemes coming out, right? The scheme that is still running is called ACE, right? This is strictly for startup. Huh? Okay, they give you $50,000 grant, right? If you put in $20,000 yourself, right? 5 upon 7, I think, right? So you will have to present to a committee, right? And if a committee likes it, you get your funding, right? In 2 tranches probably. Right, and the problem with grants like this, because it's free money, right? There are criteria for the grant. Okay, so for example, they would say, okay, I like your idea. Let's say, for example, you would like, and Mary looking at me, right? And you just say you would like to start up a char kway teow store, and they like your idea of char kway teow store. Let's say, right? They will say, okay, if you start your stall, I will give you $10,000 first, right? To really kick up whatever it is, right? To get your next tranche, right? What are you doing? Then you can say, oh, in the next tranche, I am going to sell 30 plates of char kway teow.
You give them a business plan.
You get a business plan.
For 1 year.
For whichever period that you are comfortable with, 1 year, 6
1 year,
months.
50,000.
Yeah.
1 year only.
I think it's less. If you look at it, how much can your 50,000 last you? Right? Yeah. So basically, that's how they do it, right? So in 3 months, I'm going to sell 100 plates of char right? So if you sell 100 plates of char they will give you an extra tranche. But if you don't sell, they will wait until you finish selling the 100. You ask your friend to buy more. Yeah. So the key point is, don't use that as your criteria, right? Because it's completely not in your control, right? So basically, your business plan need to be very focused, yet attainable.
Sorry to interject. So from the government itself, it's going to find a bit more from startup. Any new funds or grants for A-Star Space Singapore?
Okay, so there are many grants, right? Okay, and I don't profess I know all of them, right? So some of them depending on, let's say business analytics, right? I know that some A-Star organizations will work with you and will actually not give you a grant, but actually put researchers with you to help you build your system, right? They will get a grant themselves, right? But to you, it's free research and free product, right? So there are more than one way to skin a cat, right? So some of them are developing stuff. Some of them are actually helping you with, different parts of the whole entire mechanism. So it's more than just money, right? There are also all these kind of different schemes that are available, right? Where to do it? I think that, I was told that ACE is going to come up with a website that does some of these things, but we are not sure yet because the grant schemes, the latest one is not out yet. Okay, they are still sitting on it, right? So that's how it would be. I mean, you can take it offline. If you're more interested in some of those stuff. Yeah. Different people at different stage. Yeah. So yeah.
Important things that if the government is not open, the rest of them.
The government is very open. The government is very open. I'm not PAP, but the government is very open. Right. Okay. That's all the time I have actually, right? So, where toilet? Okay. All right. So, any question for me? Right. I'll try to answer as.
Just curious question, because we talk about startup today, just informal discussion. We actually do Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Planning it very fast.
Yes. So Kickstarter is crowdfunding. So my hypothesis, right, is that if your startup is reward based, meaning you're producing a product like a camera stand, something you can buy to watch. The Kickstarter and Indiegogo does well, right? But if you don't, right, it's a little bit more difficult, right, on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, right? But you're absolutely right, right? So it depends on your startup, right? So if your startup is providing service, it's a bit more difficult, right? If your startup is reward based, or your fundraising is reward based, meaning that you in the end sell something, right? Like my friends have this neural machine, right? So they go build a neural machine and then they sell you the machine. So they say, okay, for $100, please buy my machine, okay? And that's how they raise the fund, right? Although the cost may be $20 or whatever it would be, right? So you're absolutely right. Okay. Any other question on valuation? I know I've not answered specific question, right? But the answer, the point of valuation is so large, right? That I think it is a process to actually help you build your valuation, right? So usually I sit down with a startup for a week or two, right, to actually derive a valuation for them. So it's not like I say today, oh, you're 5 million, oh, you're 2 million, you're 3 million, or whatever it would be, right? So it's actually quite difficult. And then when you present to the investor may not agree with you, right? Chances are less that they think that you're undervalued. Chances are more they think you're overvalued. Right? So that's the usual case.
So, in that case, your role is more of a startup befrienders.
Okay, I have multiple hats, right? So today, if I speak on this, I'm a friend of a startup, right? So you come to me for money, I'm an investor, right? Yeah.
But you are able to play the different.
Sometimes very difficult, right? So if I do work with some of you guys, right? When you guys present to my partners, they make the decision. I don't. I will just tell them what I think is worth, right? So my partners will make the decision on whether they will invest or not. Similarly, Same. So they may mentor some startup, right?
So you
But,
abstain,
yeah, when they present, right, the partner will abstain, right? To be fair to the rest of the partners. We have 7 partners, or six other partners. Okay, right?
Should the staff do the valuation themselves or
Yes.
then the investor will also do their own valuation, right?
Yes.
Then how do you connect the two if there's a mismatch?
So you have to explain to them how you derive it, and see whether they agree with you or not. Right?
Then they may use their own method and you use your own.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Can you run down, just now you show 5 different investors. Just want to find out each individual type of investors. What are they looking for a startup? They want to invest, they want to put up, and they want to invest. Just give me, let's say, triple F, Frank, no problem. Angel.
Looking for valuation or amount?
No, I'm looking for what does this super angel and angel will fund you if I'm a startup, and the government and the incubator. Well, are they the same or are they different?
They're all different.
Correct. So could you just run down?
FNF is usually a family and friends, right? So they believe in you, they will invest.
No bother.
Right?
No bother.
Angels is, if you want to look for angels, right? The angel round is usually the most expensive round for you, right? Because the valuation will be very low, right? So therefore, right, you should be looking at angels that could actually add value to your business, and vice versa. That means that angel must be able to see that, okay, you actually add value to me, right? Or I can help you, right? Super angels are similar, right? Incubation and accelerators are slightly different, right? It's a business for them, right? So some accelerators and incubators may be from, let's say, PSA or DBS or SPH or Singtel, right? Okay, so they have the idea of what they're interested in, right? So if you fit within their what they will invest and incubate.
And what are they looking for?
So it depends. So if you look at, let's say, sorry.
From your experience.
Okay, for let's say, from experience, Singtel is a simple one, right? Singtel to investing in areas which are similar or adjacent to the telco industry, right? So what are similar? Anything to do with telco, right? Encryption, compression, right? The adjacent could be battery, right? Because they need the battery to power off their tower or whatever it would be, right? And there are more, right? Similar, MediaCorp and let's say SPH are more media based, right? So if you can do more things with media, they can make use of your services, they will incubate you, right? So those are the different organizations, right?
Typical amount would be like how much?
Singtel ranges, right? Usually it is between 15,000 to about $60,000, $80,000 range, right? And they will take anywhere from 3 to 8% of the company to incubate or to accelerate. Okay, government I'm on tape. Government depends on what they see are the main drivers for the economy, right? So, for example, productivity. If your system actually improve productivity, they will fund, right? If your system improve productivity in, let's say, I don't know, travel industry, let's say, okay, and because they see that travel industry is very ineffective, they will fund, right? So they also have objectives, right? So the buzzwords, of course, is Smart Nation. Anything Smart Nation, should fund, right? So if they believe you, right?
John,
Yes.
how would you categorize cornerstone and mezzanine level? Which level?
Sorry, which one?
Cornerstone.
Cornerstone.
Cornerstone investors and mezzanine level of how big?
Okay, there's completely two different terms. Cornerstone investment are the people that actually are the main investors in your organization, right?
Earlier on.
Sorry?
That can be the lead investors. Earlier on.
Oh. Yeah, cornerstone could be a lead investor. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mezzanine funding is a stage of funding, right? So after, I don't have it here. So you have, so you'll be like FNF round, angel, right? Super angel, which is basically seed round, right? Or pre-seed, then seed round, and then your pre-A round, right? B, so on, right? Mezzanine funding is usually the later round. So it's a stage of funding.
Before they go for probably
Yeah,
IPO.
whatever. Yeah, correct.
Is that is where the double class shares they're looking for right now?
Double class share usually start at VC round, your A or even pre-A. Yeah,
Earlier.
could be much earlier. So, Charlie was supposed to speak about that. Okay. All right. Without further ado, let me introduce Marcus. Marcus is a good friend of mine.
Sorry?
Sorry? Go. He's a good friend of mine, and he's going to present his startup, which is CloakApp. Marcus is no spring chicken, as you can see, right? But Marcus has actually developed a very interesting security product, right? That actually could revolutionize, I would say, the enterprise security going into the future. So without further ado, let me introduce Marcus.
So thank you.
Okay, stop switching.
Sorry?
Oh, that's mine. You can't use mine.
Start.
So by not being a screw chicken, I guess Chuck is saying I'm one of the older people around in the startup scene. So what we do is that we wanted to protect data for businesses. So I think everyone knows that data leaks are getting more and more common. But how serious exactly is the problem now? In a recent Symantec report, just this year, they pointed out that there are 9 mega breaches in 2015 alone. In total, there are more than 409 million entities exposed. So that is 1 out of every 16 people you know. All because of insecure web services. So we got pretty worried about this a few years back. We wanted to build good data protection tools for businesses. So as most people know, enterprise data and services are protected by firewalls. But the firewall is a bit like the Great Wall of China, very quickly becoming obsolete. The reason is because IT is moving towards cloud computing. Peer-to-peer solution like blockchain, Ravi gave very good talk last week on this. And then BYOD. BYOD has been around for a long time. So in addition to firewall, you also need to build data protection right into the application you build for businesses now. This is what we do. We built a platform called the Federated Data Sentry platform for businesses. But when we try to explain the Federated Data Sentry to people, they get confused. Data security is very complex. So what we do is that we build a SaaS application that sits on top of this platform. So our SaaS application can help to demonstrate that how businesses can use the library to build their own services. So now we have file, which is a password-free file encryption tool. What this is secure file repository. TecHour is a variation of Vault for the data market. Chat is a secure enterprise messaging tool. Then enterprises can use the library to build their own apps. So companies can expect a dramatic reduction in the go-to-market time because our library do a lot of very difficult data protection stuff for you. So for example, in a recent hackathon, we built a smart contract validation platform that is secure using our library in less than 24 hours. So this is another use case. We recently did a project with Comica in Intel. We used our library to build a secure healthcare solution in just 5 months, front end, back end. In comparison, if you look at WhatsApp, they built secure chat, AWS security over the chat. In 18 months, using 14 developers. So the application we built for Comica has a iOS application integrated with a 3D camera. So the 3D camera will capture 3D models and image of wound. So the solution will automatically measure the wound. Our library protects the capture and do secure RESTful services. So we also build the backend. The backend has authentication, data protection, data access control, and endpoint management. So endpoint management tracks all the devices being registered to the platform. If your device is stolen, you want people to see all the patients, injury, photos, and all that. So it's very easy to revoke access. So once the company has a gateway in their system, it's very easy for them to roll out the SaaS to the organization. Setup takes less than 30 minutes. We do Active Directory single sign-on using one account. The global software encryption market is $2 billion, growing at around like 14%. So very fast growing, and we just get bigger. So our main competitors, ours is an SDK-based solution. Our main competitors are a container-based solution, and also build it yourself solution. Yep.
Are you the only one from FDS?
Well, this is quite rare. So this is why my SDK-based solution is completely working with yourself.
What about the SDK compatible?
Sorry?
Comparable, apple to apple.
I think you're right to say that it's a bit different from container-based solution. So we are comparing more to TecHour.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry to be disruptive. I'm saying that compare your from FDS SDK base with another SDK based comparator.
I'm saying that it's very rare. So what's happening now is that a company will say, hey, I want to build security into my next social media app. Then they will get Accenture, IBM, maybe something like PSA, Changi Airport. Then they will pull in a PIN identity for authentication, and this and that. Then the code base will be more open. So it's really doing itself.
So there's no competitor, is it? Out there,
Very few.
no.
But I think that's Spanish voice at the same time.
So I think that we started doing this, but it's quite rare. So there's very few. So container-based solution is probably the most popular. They are really MDM solution like Iron and TecHour. But because of the container is very slow, so bloated, everyone knows about it. So SDK or library give you the best performance, high security customization. Then you can extend your services with your modules and architecture. So compared to building it yourself, you can reduce the number of security developers you need to hire. So security developers and architects are very hard to find in the market. Not easy to train, also after you train them, they leave. And their skill set is really non-core to the organization. So our go-to-market plan, maybe in first phase, acquire 6 to 10 enterprise customer. So because like what we pointed out, our competitors are mainly doing it themselves now. So a large company is good for phase 1. We have a global sales partnership program, working very hard to grow that program now. Then in phase 2, we will look into SMB to scale our SaaS solution through directed digital marketing and the online marketing tools. So our revenues are SaaS subscription, licensing, and professional services. 2 of these are recurring. So I think we have a good team. We focus on growing enterprise security as a service. Took a while to build what we have. I have around 15 years of experience in business development, finance, and project management. Work in China, States, and Singapore during this period. Qining has more than 10 years experience in security, research, development, and project management. Qining formerly is from Wuhan. Now he's a Singapore citizen. So without Qining becoming a Singaporean and all this, I think this startup will be quite difficult to have its own product. Qining also work in these are the people we go to for business advice. So me and Qi, our culture tends to be more technical. Technical advisor with plenty, because of our contacts with Qi, most of the Lisa. So our overseas technical advisor are Professor Nasimandan and Professor TecHour. They are Qi's colleague and supervisor in New York University. He did his postdoc over there. For sales, we have Timothy, who recently is helping us to grow the global sales partnership program. So I think this is all I have to share. Thank you for listening. So I'll be happy to answer any question you have.
I had a question about the Changi Airport. Most enterprises already have their sort of address, Active Directory, where you want to connect to, for example, right? So how does your solution work? Is it layer on top of it?
Oh yes.
Is there their
Right. So what we do is that I try to keep the list. What we have is a single server inside the company. It will sit behind the firewall. This gateway, which is really a software directly from the cloud system. Currently, the cloud backend is deployed on Amazon Web Services.
So if I'm a user at Changi Airport, do I still log in my same Changi Airport username and password, or is there a separate authentication layer?
Or depending on the customer needs. So if they want single sign-on, we have out-of-the-box solution. But sometimes, like what you point out, they want us to integrate with PIN identity, for example, and we have to look into the best way to do it. So the whole idea is that when we have services running on Apple, we communicate the gateway with the customers behind the organization. Is it PIN identity, is it PD, or SAP? And then any data that comes here is supposed to be encrypted or sanitized, masked, encrypted, and all that. And the paper is passed wrapped around as a JSON object for RESTful communication. This part will always security to handle. Goes to the cloud, it goes directly to the mobile device. So you need to have signature, checking, and all this you can relate to that So it gets really complicated. But what we do is that we use the same architecture for a SaaS solution. So our customer can just download our apps. Anyone really can download it, play with it, and see that all this are really transparent. We don't have to worry about it.
Can I ask maybe a more direct question? How long has this company been in operation?
We started in June 2011. So we were, I guess, quite lucky in Chuck's work because we did all this R&D using government grants and our own savings. So we got Spring TCS grant, proof of concept and proof of value.
Government grant?
Yes.
How much you got it from?
I think around like 700,000. 700,000.
700,000.
But it's two phases, proof of concept and proof of value. So Chili and I, we left A-Star and we work on this. Then after that, we show milestones like pattern pending, prototype, and then we got the second tranche to build it into multiple platforms. Because the thing about encryption is that if you encrypt on Windows, you need to view your data on Android, iOS, Mac. So the library is quite extensive. There's a few of them. So you have a back end and a front end. Then we realized we need to make money. So now we're getting checks out to do more BD and take the company forward.
Can you share with us top-down approach, big picture? Where are you going?
We want to stay focused in data protection and security. So there's a big market, which is this one. So currently, a big part of the encryption software market now is HTTPS. When you connect to secure banking, online banking, pay your taxes, they buy keys, they use HTTPS and OpenSSL or Tomcat to protect it. So a big part of this is something like this. But going forward, we feel that this thing will be more SDK driven. This is a bit like if you want to build app with mapping, you will use Google API. If you want to do security, you use this. And the backend, the services will run online.
Yeah, so you have a problem and then you have a good solution. So could you share with me more about your revenue stream?
Oh, we didn't have much revenue yet. So we did a project with Konica Minolta recently collaborating with the National Cyber Security Lab in NUS. Then might get another project with government security agency and then some pipelines. So, but our SaaS solution, for example, CloakFile, is a very easy to use encryption tool. This one over here has $40,000 of Android store. So among this kind of like free tools, we are one of the top ones. So no marketing yet. Then Vault, we have another 5,000 Android store. Then we are now using chat. Chat will be live in a few weeks' time. So in between doing projects and other, we want to build a SaaS solution. The business model, when you do a project, or library, you build an app that is secure. Then within your app, you can use modules to add functionality. So there's licensing of the backend of the platform and also subscription of the tools. So for example, if you have an FDS solution, also you have FTP link, you can put your file transfer it. So instead of like going to build your own encryption and all this, you just pull the library, load the platform, and you put the file, send it over.
So you charge like per project basis?
Do
you have to pay for downloading and everything?
The SaaS solution is free. So if you're looking at exact pricing, so for the SaaS product, we are pricing it on average around $50 per user per year. So a lot of advisors will come in, pricing is a bit lower, leaving on the 1 year payment. But we feel, somehow, as a techie, we feel this should be the way because it's a SaaS solution. Because people are looking at the high price point for enterprise security now. But SaaS solution like Office 360, all this pricing has to be advertised. But when you do a typical project, you know, $200,000, you got a fee, $50,000 in the library licensing. When you use one of the tools, you can spend about $50,000 of licensing. So 2 parts of that will be recurring. So instead of like the typical 15% of licensing, maintenance fee, you do subscription fees. So the products get upgraded all the time.
Alright, thanks for sharing.
So all this data going forward, store and cloud.
Yes. So Vault doesn't have storage. Cloak and Vault is for encryption. So we help to manage the key, but we don't hold your file. For Cloak and Vault, we do the encryption. We help to manage the keys. There's an option for you to store your own key, but most users we realize they don't know how to handle that. So they get confused between like what's public key, private key, and all this. And we don't hold the file storage. In Vault, we hold the file storage. We store the file for you, so that it's end-to-end secure. But there's an option for you to hold the master key, so that we can see the data.
And all this data gets stored in the cloud. Who is your cloud service provider?
Currently, Amazon Web Services.
Why?
I think it's very reliable. So, for example, we have around 40,000 downloads for our apps, never lost a single file. The service is always on. So, but
Could you share if you compare Amazon Web Services, IBM, Microsoft, and Google? Maybe you can compare IBM and compare Amazon. What is the key selling point of Amazon Web Services?
I think they are about the same, but Azure tends to be pricing a bit higher. So I may not be the right best person to talk about this. But the prices are actually quite comparable. But what we realized was that we recently did an audit of a fintech company based in Hong Kong for a fund. They hired us as consultant. They were using Azure backend. So it seems like the motivation for using Azure is that they have all the enterprise stuff behind. So if you don't want to do what we are already doing, you can use Azure. Then they will give you AD Federated ADFS to do all the federated identity and all this. Then you don't have to worry about authentication, and you get access to simple access control. The SQL database protection is pretty advanced, so you can encrypt the database and all this. But most people who use that stack, they do not do that because there are other issues. But you are looking at around like maybe $10,000 per month, even though when you get started. But if you use Amazon, you can look at maybe a few $100s when you are prototyping. So I think there's a big difference in prices when you start using the full Microsoft stack. But if you're using just the EC2, the computing, the storage, the prices are quite close. So,
any other questions? Pizza here?
Yes.
Okay, pizza is here. Right, so
thank you.
thanks Marcus, appreciate it. Any other quick question before we go off and have a bit of pizza? Okay, if not, guys, thank you very much. I'm still around for another probably 45 minutes or half an hour, 45 minutes more. So please, pizza is available. Thank you very much. See you guys next week.